Hey world,
Rev the Saint here.
I am Reverend Meagan. We are two queer black women.
We are ordained ministers who really love God
and love to cut up, love to get down and get real. We move by the spirit, the beat, and our authentic being.
We are ready to share our truth and our journey of love, life, and liberation. This is our time and our space to simply be.
We are two revs with no church, gathering all those who want to get into the conversation about faith, hope, and love.
Up world, it is two revs, no church. I am Rev the Saint.
And I'm Reverend Meagan.
And we are excited. Yet another episode of Two Revs No Church. We're about to bring it to you today with this topic. What is we talking about today?
We're talking about filling your cup.
Fill my cup, Lord. Filling the cup.
Filling the cup.
What's the cup? And what's in it?
And what's in it? Is it you? Are you in your cup? Or you got other, or do you have other things and people and situations in your cup?
Hey, that's filling you up and leaving you empty.
Filling you up and leaving you empty. Because there's a hole in your cup. There's a hole in your cup.
I don't know the song, but I'm gonna sing it.
I don't know it either. It just came to me. So yeah, it did.
There's a hole in your cup.
There's a hole in your cup. You ever have a hole in your cup? Your lip gloss is popping.
Hey, my lip gloss is popping. My lip gloss is popping.
I really don't know that song because I'm holy.
Anyway,
have you ever had a hole in your cup?
I don't know if I can say that I had a hole in my cup, but I know I have a cup that has been filled with a lot of stuff that ain't mine. A lot of things I put in my cup, or I let people pour into my cup that I didn't even want to sip. You know what I'm saying? Things I didn't even want to sip, but you know, I allowed them to give me their potion, their tonic, their brew. Hey, my God, on today. and I've been intoxicated with other people's stuff in my cup. And I decided to empty out the cup. And to empty out the cup is really my vessel, you know, like just this for me, that's how I understand the cup, like emptying out my vessel, cleansing my vessel, and filling my cup with the things that are nourishing and giving to me, and that I can reciprocate back into the world, and hence what I aim to receive back into this vessel of mine. So I've gone through various seasons of having to do some cleanse and some intentional cleaning of this vessel in order to really take this cup seriously.
I had to go to therapy. I had to go. Let me tell you. Over the past, what has it been? It started a little bit after COVID. It started in February, but it wasn't because of COVID. COVID wasn't in February. COVID started in March, I think. And I decided that I'm going to go through intense therapy. Intense because I wanted to rearrange my internal atmosphere. There were some things that were occurring that I knew I can't keep going like this. This is not. And my therapist asked me one day, and this was a couple of months ago, she said, Meagan, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm silent because I'm remembering the moment that she asked me, and I was like, dang. She said, Meagan, you don't know how to fill your cup. And I was like, what? She said, let me give you an analogy. And she used cheese, right? She used, what's that cheese that has holes in it?
Cottage? No,
cottage cheese. Swiss. She said it's like Swiss cheese, and you have all these holes, and just picture that being a cup. And that's why I said, do you have holes? Because I'm remembering my therapy session. I have such a good therapist. Anyway, so
shout out to our therapist. We know who you are.
My therapist is gonna watch. Anyway,
my therapist probably will.
Shout out to Tasha's therapist.
She may listen though. Your therapist may listen.
She may. She won't. Anyway. but she said to me, you have holes in your cup and you keep trying to fill it with these people, with these situations, with possibilities, with opportunities. And she was like, you leaking all over yourself.
Jesus.
And not in a good way. You leaking, Lord forgive me. You leaking. I'm human as well as a reverend, as well as divine.
Some people may have not gotten that. You didn't even have
Yeah,
that.
true. She was like, she said, you don't know how to fill your cup. And I was like, dang it, I don't. And then she said something, and I don't know my therapist's faith or faith practice. It's not this therapeutic relationship is not for me to know.
Correct.
Right. So, but she said to me, you don't even know how to allow God to fill it. And I was like, you better shut your mouth and mind your business. Mind the business that pays you. I'm paying you not to tell me the truth, but to tell me something else. So yeah, but
that's how you know when you're ready to cuss your therapist for real, like y'all past that, like getting to know you stage. That's when you know you got a good therapist. Because I was like, listen, therapist, I was about to say her name. I didn't want to come here because I really want to cuss you out for the last thing you told me to do last week. And I know what I'm about to bring. You're about to tell me something else, and I ain't really ready to hear it.
Yeah. So when she said that, I was like, man, she said, I need you. And it caught me off guard because I've been in ministry since I was 28, 27, and not full-time ministry, but just starting into the career because ministry is a career, into the career ministry. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't know. I sit down, I read my Bible, I prepare sermons, I do this and I do that. But it's all of that was for a purpose of bringing a word. But for me to sit in my own vessel and allow God to fill me, I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that.
So what did, when you came to that truth about you, how did you move from knowing that truth about you and then getting to like filling your cup? And how was that process for you?
No, that's all that. I felt like Michael. No, you know what it was? Man. Okay, this is how I did it. I recognized once my therapist and I began to like talk about it and dismantle it and unpack it, I realized how I was making choices. The choices I made and the decisions I was making to fill my cup in a very pseudo way, in a very not healthy way, in a very like, so that's how I learned how to fill it, was because I was understanding the unhealthy ways that I was filling it. Like calling up certain people, hanging out with certain people. I was filling my cup with emptiness, empty activity. And it was just like, well, this don't make me feel good. Because the question was, I kept asking myself, is this filling my cup? And so then I realized, like, why don't you sit at home and sit with yourself and learn how to fill yourself up.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Yeah. That's always the hard part where you have to decide, like, okay, this is a season of sitting and being still. I think that's when it comes to our vessel, right? This temple that we're giving, to live out this life. I think depending on what stage you are in life, we can go through extreme workout, get the fitness, or, we can fast and be like before God. We can do various things. We can get all dressed up, or we can just let go and not care. But even in all of those activities, the hardest thing I think it is to do with our vessel is be still.
Is to be still. Yeah. But I'm telling you, it was the best thing I could have ever done for myself. Because I liked myself, but I didn't love myself.
My God, on today.
Like, I liked myself. Like, I would walk down the street and I'd be like, you're an all right person. You're a good person. You just helped that person out. You just went and fed those that are this. You just did this. And let me tell you something. Let me be cautious of this. When the liking of yourself
is preaching. This is the preaching moment.
When the liking of yourself is dependent upon your connection, reaction, and interaction with other people.
Also, in connection, reaction, and interaction to what you do.
Yes.
Who you be. My God, on today.
Yes. Yes. What's your shirt say? Yes, that's
God,
true. Yes, yes.
In the back it says,
My skin is not a weapon. Okay. Yes, that's true. That's true. And that's how I was walking down the street, like, oh, you just did this, and this is what you do, and oh, you a good person.
Mm-hmm.
But when I had to sit down and relate to myself about myself in connection to myself, I ain't love myself.
You ain't love yourself.
Like I wasn't in love with myself. I'm on that journey.
Fred, can I be honest with you? We have me and you have honest moments.
Is this honest about me?
Yes, you know it is.
I can feel it. That's why I went like this. I scratched my head, y'all.
We have honest.
I don't know what she about to say.
We are ministry babe. We are not together. We are ministry babe. We hang out and we rock for each other. All right, this is what I'm about to say.
Let me fix my skirt. I ain't got on a skirt, y'all. But anyway, go ahead.
Fred, can I say, I've been knowing you for about 3 years now, I would say.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it hasn't been that long. From the moment.
Actually feels long.
It really does.
Yeah.
But I feel it. Like your vibration is different. Like,
no, really?
Really?
No, I'm serious.
Seriously, Fred, your vibration is different because when
just say it.
About how we met.
No, whatever you're about to say.
No, because when I first met you, there was this thing about you. I don't have a word for it. But there was some, like, you had this personified confidence versus confidence.
This is like, personified. This is confidence.
Yeah, like it was like you were putting up like, I want to present this way. I want to be seen this way versus just being this way.
Yeah.
No vibration, honey. Honey. That's not wrong. Sorry. That's not wrong for us to do. That's culturally inappropriate. Anyways, forgive us. But no, for real, friend, your vibration, man, it is definitely different. But I think this is why our vessel are able to come into this space together finally, because in the beginning, you came to me wanting to start ministry together, and it has taken 3 years for us to get to this point. And that vortex, vibration, divine alignment, all of that had to happen in time, individually, and now individually first, right?
Yep.
Individually first.
Because here's the thing: is that we had to. I don't know why I just didn't make that much sense. We had to walk with one another through some deep moments in our lives. And we had to walk through those moments in order to, alone and together. And it's like, in order for this to happen, right? Mm-hmm. In order and that goes back to your vessel, right? One thing, just to go move to Jesus real fast. One thing, Jesus. This is why I love it. People are like, why do you love Jesus? I'm like, because if you just read like how Jesus interacted with folks, Jesus was like, how Snoop Dogg did that rap and was like, I want to thank me. Mm-hmm. And only it seemed like Jesus would do that as a joke, but Jesus would thank God. But Jesus would be like, I want to thank me, because that's how Jesus arrived and interacted and moved in the space when he physically walked this earth, right? He didn't show up for validation. He didn't show up to say, okay, you come with me because it's gonna look good if you walk by my side. Jesus was like, no, come with me, because us connected together, we're going to do some things. Yeah. And Jesus will walk away and be like, okay, I got to take care of my vessel. I got to talk to God about some things. I'm going through some things. And then Jesus will reconnect and be like, okay, now I can connect to you. I want y'all to see that process, right?
Because that's good for you there. Listen, I'm with you. You there.
Because Jesus didn't remain connected to uplift himself. Jesus remained connected to move forward the assignment, the collective assignment, and the individual assignment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So I believe. I believe like Jesus was a bona fide like introvert. Like
yes, I do too.
Listen, because it's like I would even push to say he's a Virgo. Okay, that's going too far. That's going just see, for those who are listening, she gave me a face. Anyways, since I love Virgo.
Because Jesus is a Gemini.
Nah. Jesus, we know that not to be true. Let's list some Geminis. We got Donald.
Oh yeah, never mind. Go ahead. Hey, anyway, but that man was a Gemini.
We digress. Yeah, but no, but in all seriousness, man, like for real, like this, like for me, I love being in community. Community, you know, when we first met, the first thing I always say, I'm about community, but I also know that for me to be a part of community, I need to get away. I need to like literally be in a hole for a minute, meditate, kumbaya. I may not even be doing that, just watching Netflix and chilling by myself. You know what I'm saying? In order to get back and like give again. So that's my process. And everybody's not like that, but I see Jesus moving like that throughout the text.
Yeah. So it's like, because there was one time when my vessel was dependent upon my connections to outside of myself. This is gonna sound confusing, but I'm gonna say, when you're filling up with the overflow and your face ain't helping. When you're filling up with, when you're good, you're good, friend. When you're filling up with just waiting for you to finish. When you're filling up with the overflow, you're gonna lack because it's supposed to be the overflow. When you're filling up with the stuff on the outside and you're trying to bring it in to fill you up, you're gonna lack because that was intended for the overflow.
And the overflow is what? The community?
The overflow is community. The overflow is opportunity. The overflow is connection to people. The overflow is relationship, whether it's friendship, partnership, familyship, whatever that looks like, right? That's the overflow. People try to fill themselves up with all of that stuff I just mentioned.
Got it.
And you can't. You can't.
It's impossible. It's not nourishing. That's the best way I could say. It's not nourishing to your being, to the vessel that you were given. And so be mindful, be mindful of not only with what you fill your cup with, the thing that gives you the feeling of fullness, but how you do it. Because that in itself, the how is as important as the what. So we good on this topic?
I
think we good on this topic. We think we good on it. So we have a guest, a special guest, another one. We like to bring on just folks that we think are awesome. Folks that we consider friends to the Saint and Rev Church. And today, who do we have on the docket?
We have JMase the third, poet, activist. That's just touching the tip of the iceberg of who JMase the third is. But yes, JMase the third is an awesome, divinely inspired, creative individual. So stay tuned.
Well, for folks that don't know me, my name is JMase III. I use he and his pronouns. I'm the co-editor of a project called the Black Transfer Book. Outside of that, I do many things, but that's where most of my time is right now. Primarily, we put together a book. Right now, we're working on a documentary based on the book, and in the world, we're just got some other things in the pipeline that we're pretty excited about to uplift the narratives of Black trans folks all over the U.S. and beyond. So what inspired it is knowing that there needs to be more in the ways of how we speak to folks who experience lots of spiritual and religious violence, right? So that myself and my co-editor, Lady Dane Figueroa-Didi, what we understand is that religious violence is at the root of the violence that Black trans people experience, whether that be violence that we experience in our families, whether that be sexual violence we experience, whether that be domestic violence we experience, whether that be political violence we experience. It leads back to institutions that allow people to learn how to dehumanize folks and who is human, who is not, who is worthy of God, who is not, and religious institutions do that every day, right? And so what I also found is that being in religious institutions that even perceive themselves as LGBTQ affirming are usually very bad when it comes to trans issues, so that they want us to be grateful because they said our names right once, they said our pronouns right once, right? But when I ask a pastor, imam, right, or whoever, right, how am I affirmed as a Black trans person in the text? They might say something like, well, God is love. It's like, well, the people legislating against me have a much richer theology than that, right? The people that are shouting at me on the street have a much richer theology than that. So what theology do you actually have to back that up, right? And usually they haven't done the research. And so the text that we have is not just, it's not any one just tradition. It is folks that are Christian, folks that are Muslim, folks that are Ifa, folks that are Lukumi, folks that feel so pushed out of faith traditions that they don't feel called to any particular faith tradition, but understand their experience as a Black trans person in and of itself is innately divine, right? So we kind of cover people that are of faith, and we say also people that are beyond faith, right? That to be a Black trans person means to kind of call yourself into an existence in which many cis people can't understand, right? That's people give you a label for your body, for your roles, for all this stuff, and we say no to that, right? And so I've worked with many different religious traditions. I grew up in a Muslim and Christian family, and every religious tradition I've worked with has always told me that we are all beyond our physical bodies, right? That I've never worked with a faith tradition that did not believe that we as humans are more than just our physical bodies. And no one more so greatly embodies that to me than Black trans folks.
So how do, because JMase you offered so much. I wish we had more time because I feel so I'm going to put myself out there as you were speaking. Mm-hmm. I don't think I would necessarily say, well, God is love, but I feel like my answer would not be adequate enough to offer groundedness, to offer, I'm not even want to talk about hope, to offer groundedness and an intimacy towards a divine force that maybe someone who is a Black trans person would need from me in that moment. So you've inspired me in this moment. One, I need to order the Black trans prayer book. We need to order two. We're going to do that right after this.
Listen, and there's print copies and digital copies, so we are both physical and on the interweb, so you can get in many different forms.
Okay, all right. So saying that, tell us how do we, and we're not just saying this, as soon as this goes off, we're going to get our copies. So how do we get those copies?
There's many different places that are selling it. I think the most accessible way to get it is on our website at theblacktransprayerbook.org, because on a place like Amazon or Barnes & Noble, it runs like $80. On our site, it's like $45 or something like that, because it is a big book and it is very, very full. There's lots of even call and response within the text. Or the print copy, which is, the digital copy, which is more accessible than that. So people can go on to theblacktransprayerbook.org and check out our store and find it in there.
So you have particular talent, gifts that you are going to bestow upon us. Can you? I feel like you have the book with you. Can you show it to
Yeah. Oh, yes. Because listen, this is a beautiful book, right? So the Black Trans Prayer Book, and I say that because I think this is the book for me that I needed when I was coming into myself, and I come from a family that also had a lot of clergy folks, right, who were not exactly equipped to talk about the divinity, right, of Black trans people, but more about sometimes we don't talk about the ways, especially through different colonizers and conquistadors, that specifically targeted Black trans folks because of the spiritual roles we took up in community, right? Because of our power, because of our discernment, right? And so, so this is what it looks like. There's some drawings in there. There's some, like I said, some call and response stuff, like fill in the blank things in there, and all kinds of good stuff for people to read. Like I said, I come from a Muslim and Christian background. This is my favorite story in the Quran. It's my favorite story in the Bible. It's a story of Yusuf in the Quran. It's a story of Joseph in Genesis. If you don't read neither of those things, it's a story of Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. It's told by Broadway. So even if you've never read this religious text, I'm sure you've heard of Broadway. And this poem is called Josephine. She asked if she can talk to me about Jesus at 3 a.m. on the C train because something about my trans face means clearly I'm on a path straight to hell. I've come to expect this type of reaction from strangers at least once a week since the first time I was exercised at 16. But today I've grown tired and I've decided it is my turn to proselytize. So before you do any of that, I want to know from you, have you heard the good word about Joseph of Genesis? See, Josephine, Joe of Genesis, favorite child of Jacob, aka Israel. When asked what you wanted, you desired one thing, a ketoneth pasim. Pastor called this a royal coat, and Joe, I had never read the Bible before, found you and kept reading. Josephine, I got to 2 Samuel, realized your coat of many colors was a princess dress. Joseph, your father must have really loved you because he got it for you and you wore it with pride. Joe, when your brothers saw you in your flowing dress, in your glory, they became enraged. I am sorry for the beating you received. Sorry they destroyed your dress and smeared it with the red paint of your swollen veins. Josephine, did you know they told your father you were dead? So he never come looking for you. Never knew your brothers sold you as a slave into Egypt, and once you were stolen from your home fields, the earth dried up. Joe, the very ground on which you walked, mourned the loss of its genderqueer child, and all the plants died. And the animals no longer had the will to live. Josephine, your family nearly starved. Saw the formation of ribs where once there grew flesh and belly fat, and they, hungry and desperate, traveled into Egypt. And what must they have seen, Joe? See, in Egypt, people discovered you. Not as just gay, not as just trans, they saw you in totality. You went from slave to leader over lands, and there you were, Josephine, as you, as magnificent. And your family couldn't even recognize you through the glare of divinity, but you saw them shivering in fear, waiting to hear what this regal leader might say, wondering if your spirit might see fit to grant them the grain needed to survive. And Joseph's love broke through the darkness of resentment. And for the first time, your family saw you, as magnificent. For it was your word that saved them from starvation, dear Joseph of Genesis, aka Josephine, aka Joe. I'm claiming your story for every trans kid told that we're unholy. I'm claiming your story for every queer told that in order to love, we must let our faith die. I'm going to put it in a pocket over my heart, next to Ruth and Naomi, next to David and Jonathan, next to Hegai and Deborah, and seat them at the last Passover with Jesus and Lazarus. Yes, I am taking Jesus with me too, dear pastor. To you, who claims your words are from God, but whose book has been pledged to King James, know what allegiances you keep. We have been lying about my people for too long.
Woo! Jesus.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was expecting, this interaction. All right. Yeah.
2 Rev No Church is powered by the Saint Media, Jiggy Jazz Production, and B. Paul Mobley.
2 Revs No Church is sponsored by Pennsylvania Southeast Conference of the United Church of Christ.